Hi, this is Charles. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. It's Charles Kelly, Money Tips, bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate, and of course enjoy more money. I'm also the author of the book Yes, Money Can Buy You Happiness, which is about money and happiness, obviously, but it explores the relationship that we have with money, which sometimes leaves us not appreciating money, not feeling that we deserve money, and it even causes some people to throw money away because they can't handle it. Their mental thermostat is gone off the Richter scale, and like people who win lottery amounts, sometimes they just want to blow it, and they do frequently blow it. Not everyone, of course, but some. Now, the UK, as I was saying yesterday, is officially in recession, but those figures relate to the last quarter and the last two quarters, in fact. And in the last quarter, which runs April to June, the economy shrunk by 20%, which it makes us amongst the leading economies in the world, that we lost the most. Now, some people say this is because we are a mainly service-based economy. 80% of our GDP relates to services of one sort or another, whether that's hospitality, retail, IT services, all sorts of services, banking as well, banking, insurance, financial services. And these were heavily hit by the coronavirus. Obviously, our tourist summer season has just gone. We've lost billions from tourism, billions from overseas tourists, billions of overseas currency. And that's why the UK was hit particularly hard, even harder than America, which has got the worst record for coronavirus. And that shrinkage, if you relate that back to the 2008 so-called Great Recession, it wasn't anything like that. I think that the economy fell by 3 or 4% in that period. In previous recessions, if you look back on charts, you'll see that they didn't fall by anything like 20% in a particular quarter. And of course, this is an unusual situation. Most recessions are driven by something going wrong with the banking system, with a war or country, or a trade war, or oil prices. In the 70s, the OPEC oil price rise triggered a big recession, big worldwide recession. And so this is obviously an unprecedented situation. The Chancellor said this recession is unprecedented in our lifetimes. I don't think in recorded sort of economic history there's been one, this situation like this. Even during the war, I don't think things dropped this much. However, in July, things have started to pick up. Retail sales are up by 8.7%, and the job demand has picked up as well. Retail sales are up, but the GDP grew by nearly 9% as well. The general gross domestic product. So retail sales are up in the high street as well. Obviously, this will be related to the previous month where they were really down and no one was going to shops. And then you see a figure. Oh, it looks great. It's gone up by 8%. But still, on the year, we're really heavily down. And we've got 220,000 jobs lost in that quarter. 1 million more people, in fact, nearly 2 more million people actually claiming benefits now. So that means they're not earning money, they're not paying taxes, they're drawing out of the system. And many people feel that this will cost, the Office for Budget Responsibility feels that this whole saga will cost over 300 billion, and that's got to be borrowed somehow by the government and other methods like printing money. Now, if you hear that thunder, that's the end of the heat wave here. We've had a few days of hot weather, and now it's going to go back to normal British summer with rain and cloud and a bit of sun and then rain. That's the situation. But in July, things did start to pick up, and actually job demand has picked up with more vacancies being advertised, according to the REC, the Recruitment and Employment Confederation. They're saying that some jobs are there's basically a higher demand for some jobs. Now, believe it or not, at the top of this list, you'll never guess, you couldn't make this up, the top of the list for job demands, well, second from top. The first is gardeners, maybe people are spending more money in their garden. But the second is debt collectors, up 20% higher demand for debt collectors. Now, what does that tell you? Well, it tells you that in a recession, there's going to be more people in debt, there's going to be more people getting behind with loans and mortgages and not paying their bills, and that's why they're advertising for more debt collectors. And I've seen this in previous recessions where, bailiffs did very well, insolvency practitioners, these are people that help companies through insolvency. They must be rubbing their hands together. Insolvency practitioners, administrators, companies that deal with auctioned off properties, people that deal with this type of situation, mopping up people's misery, if you like. They are going to be booming, and that's an indicator to me that they're already gearing up for. And they've already started to see demand for their services. So that's a little bit ominous there. Play workers are needed, construction, so that's a good sign that construction has picked up. That's a positive sign. Painters and decorators. I believe drivers are in, obviously a lot of companies are advertising for more drivers because everywhere you look there's white vans skidding around the corner with your latest Amazon delivery. Merchandisers are down, pharmaceutical technicians down, hairdressers down, and dental practitioners down. And this doesn't disguise the fact that a lot of jobs, I think, will possibly just disappear off the radar. It's just one of those things that's happening. It's not just about this pandemic. It's also about the fact that a lot of jobs were being phased out anyway. And we saw retail in the high street was going down year on year. As online sales were going through the roof. And now I think this has precipitated the whole thing, and now you're going to see a lot more shop closures and people losing their jobs. What were the top areas for growth in job postings? Funny enough, Redbridge and Waltham Forest on the edge of East London, Derry City and Strabane in Northern Ireland, parts of Ards and North Downs, southwest Derbyshire, a few other counties there. The lowest was North Ayrshire, Swindon, East Ayrshire and Mid Antrim. So different parts of the country showing different signs of growth or whatever. But let's not forget the fact that we are going to see a lot of job redundancies, as I've been saying in the last few weeks. Big companies laying off tens of thousands of people. We heard yesterday NatWest, RBS laying off hundreds of people, and I think they will start closing branches and use this as an excuse. Councils are using this crisis as excuses to close off roads to traffic, to bring in more bus lanes and choke the traffic, and introduce more charges to go into London and this sort of stuff. So it's actually, it doesn't make sense to me why you would stop people driving to a town to spend money by closing off roads and just making it more difficult to park or charging them more to even come into a zone. I mean, Camden charges extra to park if you've got a diesel vehicle. Does it take up more space? No. But then, working within a council, working as a councillor, not working for the council, but as an elected councillor, I could see that the council, just their revenue stream is us. It's just, how can we raise more taxes? How can we create more revenue to then go and spend it? And it's on a bigger scale, the government does the same. Even Maggie Thatcher said years ago that the government doesn't have any money. The government takes their money from people, from companies, from taxpayers. So that, in this year, we're seeing the tax take go down that the government's taking in, but the spend is going up. So it's a lethal cocktail of pending economic disasters. That's why I think that it's going to be a long haul to get out of this recession completely. Just saying that 1 month is better than the last month, which was the worst month ever almost, is not good enough to convince me that things are okay and we're out of the woods. Because 1 in 3 companies are still planning to make job cuts. And I think after the furlough scheme comes to an end shortly, I think there will be a lot of job cuts. And that's where we're going to see a real bloodbath out there. With more and more people claiming benefits. And we've already seen it, as I was saying earlier, I've seen a lot of people approaching for property and room where they are benefit claimants, and landlords have had to adapt to accept them because there's more of those around at the moment, it seems, than people who are working. So what can the government do? Well, I think the government's just got to get everyone back to work as soon as possible. More jobs will be lost if the economy collapses, and we haven't got enough money to pay for things like the NHS, because you can't just keep printing money forever. So I think we've got to get that moving again. And you know what I was saying about jobs going, even jobs and even industries go. Over time, things change so much. You know, think of it when you used to go and develop film in one of these developing shops and print them off and buy frames for them and that sort of thing. You know, although millions more photos have been taken, I don't think so many of them are being developed and printed off in the same way. You know, I've seen companies just disappear. There used to be a company on an industrial estate here. They used to print thousands of rolls of film, only maybe 20 years ago, and they've just gone. Do you remember this? This thing here, it's called a phone book. You probably can't read it that side because it probably comes out. This is a phone book where people list their phone numbers, and in there you've got adverts. Yeah, it used to be a great business. This type of thing here. Look at these adverts here. So you've got people's phone numbers, and in there you've got adverts for plumbing, roofers, small traders, and that sort of thing. Choosing a stair lift and the Stanner stair lift and that sort of thing. And this used to be a very lucrative business. There we go on the back, locksmiths. And the Yellow Pages, Thomson directories, phone books was extremely a lucrative business in its own right, because the idea is if you started a business, you had to get in the phone book. You wanted to get in that Yellow Pages, get that listing. So if someone rings up, they can see, they can find your number. And then you'd be persuaded to take a bold listing or a slightly bigger listing, or maybe a half or quarter page ad. And to get into the latest Yellow Pages was a must in business. You had to be there. But of course now, I don't think people think about that now. They probably, if they start a business, they want to get on the web. They want to get a Google listing maybe. They want to get some SEO and people coming to their website. They're not worried about the phone directory. A lot of people and businesses hardly bother with a landline now. Before, you'd say, "Are you on the phone?" "Yes, I'm on the phone." "Oh, are you in the book?" "No, I'm ex-directory." Or, "Yes, I'm in the book." That was a big deal to be in the phone book. I'm in the phone book. It was like a prestigious thing you're on the phone. Because when I was growing up, we weren't on the phone until I was a teenager, and we were all amazed. It took about 3 months to get a phone in from the post office. It cost a lot of money. Phone calls were really expensive. In fact, the cost of calls and overseas calls was a joke. It was like you could only afford to phone somebody in Australia once in a lifetime. It was like so bad. It was really a lot of money. Anyway, that's how things have changed. And whole industries have just gone. Yeah, BT are still there because they've adapted and they're providing broadband and Wi-Fi and other services other than just landlines. And of course they control the network of the fibre optics and the landlines, so they've still got a great business. But their old business of charging people to make calls and all these phone boxes, which were also very expensive to call from, it's not gone completely, but it's certainly diminished, and there's more competition around. So you've got to watch ahead and think, where is my industry going? Is it going places, or is it going to be like the video recorders or the CD players or the Betamax videos, or things that are just not... I mean, I'm sure you can name hundreds of them, but you've got to look at these things and say, where is my industry going? Is my employer adapting to changing needs? Because so many things are going to change very, very fast, and we're going to see driverless vehicles coming in the not too distant future, I'm sure. More AI, more jobs being done by AI, and that means less staff. More people working from home, less need for offices, more jobs even being outsourced abroad to cheaper countries, and that means less jobs for British people. I think that's short-sighted myself, but there you go. So what are you doing to adapt? What are you doing to learn new skills yourself? What can you do to survive the coming recession? Although some people say we're not in recession, we're growing again, but I think it's still going to be a long haul. We could even, if we don't get out of this, then we could go into depression, which will be an even longer recession, longer and deeper. So what are you doing? Can you learn a new skill? Can you perhaps take up some other form of part-time business? Can you get into property? Can you get into whatever, online retailing? If you're interested in that sort of thing, drop me a line. I can perhaps put you onto some free courses to get you started. Drop me a line on Facebook or on LinkedIn or whatever, and we'll point you in the right direction, because many people have changed their life by perhaps starting a part-time business or venture, which then becomes their full-time job, and they're out of the rat race. Then they're not necessarily getting on that train every morning, and they're able to build quite a lucrative business starting from home, without offices, without landlines, and without having to be on the phone book, that's actually replaced their job, which they perhaps didn't like anyway. I mean, obviously, if you like your job, fine. I know that jobs that are secure tends to be jobs that involve the government. The government, in one way or another, probably employs about half of us in this country, certainly 40% or more, and they tend to get a very good deal. They get a very good pension, they get job security, more or less for life, unless they have a massive change. Their jobs are very, very secure, and they get pensions as well, which most of us don't get anything like the kind of pension you would get at a job involving the government, a council job, a civil servant, a teacher, a nurse, an MP. They get the best of all. Police, fire service, all of these people get very good pensions and very good deals in terms of that, whereas the rest of them are on money purchase type of schemes where you put your money in. It depends on the growth in the fund, and you're not getting very much contribution from the employer. These work-based pension schemes, they're okay, they're better than nothing, but they're not going to be enough. People need to save 10, 15 to 20% of their salary to get a pension on which they could really live on comfortably. Otherwise, they're just not going to be able to afford to retire. So think about that. A lot of people got into buy-to-let because they feel that the pension system is not there for them, and that's their pension. So if you want to learn these things, let me know, because you don't necessarily need a lot of money to get into property or online retailing. You need a lot of money to go and buy properties, but there's lots of ways of buying property without using your own money. You need a lot of money to set up a shop in the high street, but you don't need a lot of money to set up an online shop and start retailing stuff online. Tens of thousands of people have done it, hundreds of thousands of people are doing these things. So if they can do it, I'm sure you can as well. So thanks for listening. There's a little bit of good news, as I said. Some jobs are picking up. So if you want to see yourself as a debt collector, there's plenty of vacancies out there for that. So thanks for listening. Have a great evening and stay safe. This is Charles Kelly bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate and enjoy more money. Thanks a lot.